Hello! Today, Barnaby and Afra and I are joining the Showell family on their canal holiday. Hello, well, it's a lovely summer's day here. I'm on the Grand Union Canal, in fact in Cassiopary Park. And I've got talking to Chris Showell here at the helm of McCavity. That's right?
That's right.
Is at the helm the right way to describe it?
Yes, that'll do for a canal boat.
Now, you're actually from Australia, aren't you?
That's right.
And so how did you come to an English canal for a holiday when you live in Australia?
Well, Australia has no canals, and the canals in the rest of Europe are still busy commercial waterways, but thankfully the railways took over from England's canals a long time ago, and so they're left to the peaceful holidaymaker.
It's absolutely beautiful, I must say. Had you ever been on a canal boat before, since there are no canals in Australia?
No, this is my first time on a canal boat.
So how do you manage things like the locks and the steering? I mean, is it very difficult to handle?
I don't have any trouble at all. I just sit here and leave it to the rest of the family.
Ah, yes. Well, we should perhaps mention that you are not alone on this boat. Who are all the others? Because there seem to be an awful lot of you.
My wife, Libby, is chief lock worker, and Chloe, who's 11, and George, who's 9, help her with most of the locks. The little two, Polly, who's 6, and Frederick, who's 3, help when they can. Although we have to be careful with those two because they can't swim. I
was going to say, do you get at all worried about safety with children on the boat?
We're both swimming teachers, and so we're very concerned about water safety. The young two who don't swim well both wear life jackets whenever they step outside the boat.
I see, right. And I believe one of your children is actually trained to be a lifesaver, is that right?
Yes, Chloe's got a level 5 certificate in Australia, and George is not far behind.
Oh, that's ideal for this sort of holiday.
Yes.
Now, when you're kind of steering, what about all the other boats and things like that? I mean, do you get worried, if you're a total novice, don't you get worried you're going to hit them and wreck things?
It's a little worrying. The Grand Union Canal, the one we're on, is designed for boats which are 14 feet wide, although this one is only 7. The Oxford Canal is only designed for 7 feet boats, and so it's mostly half the width. And that comes as a bit of a shock. But the general rule on canals is to stay in the middle unless there's something else coming, and then you keep to the right.
I see. Right. And what's the boat made out of? Is it something that's going to dent easily, or?
No, it's 13 tons of solid steel. So long as you don't move it too quickly, you can't damage it.
Right. You can just damage other people, presumably.
Well, most of the other boats on the cut are steel boats as well. There are a few people who bring plastic boats onto the canals, but they tend to be very cautious of the larger craft and keep out of the way.
What you call plastic boats being what people call motor cruisers?
GRP, fiberglass motor cruisers, yes.
Right. Now, what about tying up and mooring? Can you moor anywhere along the canals? Or?
There's a mooring right almost anywhere on the towpath side of the canal. The canals still have the towpaths that were used for the horses in the old days. And anywhere along that towpath you can hammer in your mooring spikes and tie up for the night.
So when you've had enough, you just moor and there you are?
Call it a day, tie up and
later on I'll be looking inside, because you've got all you need on board, really. You don't actually have to hit civilization if you don't want to.
No, the canal boating fraternity make a lot of the canal side pubs.
Yes.
And they serve all the usual things that good pubs serve, but we've been providing our own catering. When you take a family of 6 out for an evening, it becomes very expensive.
Yes, I'm sure. Right. And now, is this something to do with mooring?
Yes, that's a mooring spike. It's just a glorified nail, and you have a large hammer to hammer the thing into the bank and tie your ropes off to that. I
see. And so you actually carry these with you? Because I sort of imagine you had to find a ring or something somewhere to tie up to, but you carry all this with you, so
yes.
You're totally self-contained.
That's right. There are mooring rings in some particular places on the canal where they have a concrete footpath along the towpath outside a shop or a pub. There'll be a set of mooring rings, or sometimes just holes to slide your own mooring spikes into.
Right.
But usually it's just hammering the spikes into the grass.
So you do need a bit of a crew to actually have a holiday to sort of do all these different tasks.
I think 2 adults would have a very hard job of canal boating, especially when there are locks to be worked. 3 adults could manage comfortably, and with 2 healthy, strapping children, we're doing quite
Well
nicely.
on the way. Now, perhaps you could teach me how to steer and I could have a little go.
Yes.
Do you push this the opposite way to the way you want to
That's
go?
right.
Is that right? Yes, I was trying to remember that. Right. Well, I'll have a little steer and then in a little while perhaps I'll go downstairs and meet the rest of your family, if that's
Yes.
okay. Great. Thanks, Chris. Right. Mustn't hit anything. Well, I've decided to leave Chris to the steering and come see how you're all doing down here. Now, this is very different to my kitchen, the open house kitchen as we call it. How do you manage in such a tiny space with 4 children and 2 grown-ups?
Well, it's much smaller than my kitchen at home as well, but you just adapt to the space. The first 24 hours, you sort of feel as though you're treading all over each other. And after that, well, we spend a lot of time outside. There's room for the children to move onto the tables
Yes.
here and up in the cabins and front and back. And they don't like spending much time in the kitchen. It's not as though we're at home where people tend to congregate in the kitchen. There's too
No.
much to do here, so
That's right,
it's just
I've
a good
heard.
work area.
Right,
Yes.
they're all pretty busy doing other things.
Other things, yes.
So you've got the table where everyone is.
Yes.
And this is the sink. And then what
Yes.
else have you got? You've got a cooker.
Well, we've got, yes, full-size oven here and a good fridge, gas fridge with a freezer, hot running water, full-size sink, and the boat comes with as much crockery and cutlery and all the attachments that you'd want. And so glasses and so you'd bring nothing.
Now, talking of hot running water, I mean, what about bathroom or anything like that?
Yes, there's a shower with
There's a
hot water,
shower?
yes. 2 wash basins, both with hot running water, so you really don't go without much. You've got
No.
all the comforts that you'd want.
And
so
how many can it sleep, the boat, you know?
this boat can sleep 8.
Right. 8?
8. We have 4 in one cabin, 2 in the other, and a double bed here on the table
So
if we
you
need
can
it.
turn the
So we
table.
can, yes. So it can
So
sleep quite a lot.
You can
yes.
actually take more than your family.
Yes, this is larger than we need. So
Right.
unfortunately, our grandparents are a bit far away to come with us today.
Yes, indeed. So how did you find out about these boats? These are the Bridgewater boats, right?
They were recommended to us in Australia by a travel agent. We had a lot of trouble trying to find information, being such, a distance away. But they were recommended, and we looked at the brochure and thought, yes, that looks right. And they were nice and close to London, convenient. And so here we are, and we're more than happy. We've been thrilled. Yes.
And I believe one thing I should mention is that you are actually used to cramped conditions, because before you came on the canal barge, you'd spent some time travelling around Europe.
Yes, we had a camper van for 14 weeks, so this was a step up in the way of space and luxury, yes.
Great.
Yes, it's been a wonderful time.
Well, I think I'm going to ask one of the children if they're going to show me where they sleep. So thanks
Yes.
for talking. I'll leave
Great.
you to it.
Thanks.
Libby. Well, this is the children's bedroom. They've got bunks, as you can see, but I gather you can take the top bunks out if it's not quite such a large family. And here I've got Polly and Afra and Frederick. Well, do you enjoy sleeping in bunks like this?
Yes,
Who sleeps where? Who sleeps on the top bunks?
we usually swap around.
Oh, why's that?
So if we want to sleep on this one, we can sometimes.
You all like sleeping on the top the best, do you?
Yes.
Ah, right.
Except Frederick, he falls out.
Oh,
a lot.
Frederick falls out, so he sleeps in the bottom one. Do you like bunks, Frederick?
Yes,
Good. And have you slept on bunks before?
yes,
Have you?
yes.
Where did you sleep in your van? When you were going around Europe? Did you sleep in the roof? Did you? Can you remember? Where did you sleep, Polly?
On the top. He slept on the top the beginning night, but then he fell out one night. He said, "Daddy, I'm not sleeping on the top bunk because I might fall out." And Daddy said, "No, he wouldn't," but he did.
Oh,
The
dear.
first thing he did when he fell down onto Mum and Dad, it was say, "See, Daddy, I told you I would fall out."
So he fell out. So after that, did he sleep down below?
Yes.
I see. Right. Well, I'm going to talk to you two now, Chloe and George. Now, I want to ask you what all the jobs are that you do on board. What are you in charge of doing?
Working the locks, and on the Grand Union and the Oxford, we had to work lift bridges as well.
What are lift bridges?
Bridges you have to pull down with a chain and then sit on them to keep them up. because they're too low for the canal boats to go under.
I see. Now, Chloe, can you tell me exactly what happens, very slowly, when you go through a lock? Can you tell me?
Well, if we're going up through a lock, then if the lock's full, then we have to open the bottom paddles with the windlass handle.
And what are the paddles?
They're pieces of wood or steel in the gates or in the wall next to the lock. And when you open them, they let the water through.
Right. And what did you say, George, you tell me, what do you open them with? Tell me again.
Windlasses.
And do you have those on your boat?
Yes.
So you have your own. Are they all the same size on all the locks?
No, there are two varieties. One, some of them have small things, and the others have big.
So you have both sizes?
Yes.
And when all that water comes out, I guess it could be a bit dangerous, couldn't it?
Yes.
So what happens then once you've opened the gates?
Well, the boat drives in, and we usually secure it. Someone sits in the front with the rope around a bollard. It's the steel thing about so high.
Right.
It's black and white. And then we close the bottom gates.
So what happens after you close the bottom gates?
Well, we use the windlass handle to open the top paddles, and that lets the water in, and the boat rises, and the people on the boat have to coil the rope up as we rise. And
the boat rises because all the water's coming in, is that right?
Mm.
And then after it's risen up,
we open the top gates, and we open the top gates and close the top paddles.
Right. And then you can drive off.
And then we have to close the gates again.
And you're finished.
Yes.
And do you know what the locks are for?
For going up or down hills.
I see. Right. Well, you three are all wearing life jackets. Afra's hiding in hers. Do you know what they're for, Polly?
Yes.
What are they for?
Because sometimes if you're not very careful, you might fall in, and you wear the life jacket sometimes when you can't swim.
That's right. And you can swim, but you still wear one, don't you?
Yeah.
That's very important. Well, Libby, the children all seem to be colouring away there. Do they do a lot of that sort of thing on board, or what do they do if it's raining or they're inside?
Well, they're all great readers. They love books, and we came prepared with an emergency supply of wet weather things, pencils and colouring books and drawing paper. The older two don't seem to get much rest time. They just start reading a book and we'll say another lock ahead, so out they leap. The younger two can entertain themselves quite happily. We also bought some little farm animals and little cars and things for Frederick, so that he can stay inside all day if necessary. But we've been very lucky with the weather, and
right. And as you say, with the locks, they don't get much time to sit still anyway.
They don't. They're needed, the older two, and so they leap into action the moment we see a lock coming, and drop everything and come out to help. And so does Polly, and of course, if the weather's nice, they all do.
And I just think there's quite a lot of help needed in the kitchen and or the galley.
Oh yes, they're very good, very good. Potatoes and getting things ready and getting the table cleared, and plenty of little chores around for them to do as well. So there's not much time to fill in.
No. Well, they certainly seem very happy now. Well, I'm sitting right up the front of the boat now with Chris and some of the children, and Barnaby's enjoying it too. Chris, what do you think is the best thing about a canal boat holiday?
Well, the peace and quiet. The fact that you can be totally away from cars and motorways and a lot of the normal pressures of existence. You cruise along on this wonderful wet highway, and you're in parts of the country that normally you wouldn't dream existed.
Yes.
The wildlife along the side of the cut is fascinating to children. We've seen herons, coots, moorhens, and several sorts of ducks, and they all queue up for the extra slices of bread that nobody wants at breakfast time.
That's right. I mean, I should imagine it's quite a different view of England than you can get in any other way, really.
Yes, it's largely unspoiled.
Yes. And lots of... Do you go through sort of some slightly more built-up areas with sort of people's back gardens going down to the river and all that kind of thing as well?
Yes, it's a good variety. The south of the Grand Union Canal goes through an industrial area to the west of London. We're now in Cassiabury Park, which is still an unspoiled park.
Right, and that's quite an old park, I believe.
Yes, yes. The Earl of somebody or other.
And it's about 300 years old, I believe, some of this woodland that's around us, which is Very beautiful. There's a boat right off in the distance. Do you pass lots of boats? Do you get to know all the, sort of some of the people? Do you keep passing the same people at locks and things like that?
Yes, if you're heading in the same direction as another hire boat, you'll often lock up with them and share the work in the lock. Or if you're unlucky, you'll get to the lock just as they're leaving and they've left it full, which makes more work for you.
So do you make friends or enemies, do you think?
Mostly friends, mostly friends. People come onto the water to relax and enjoy themselves, and they're not really interested in making enemies.
No.
It's fascinating seeing some of the old working boats which are still used for
I
people to
didn't
live
realise this. Oh, people actually live on the canals, do they?
Yes, yes. Some stretches of canal are a little sad, and there are a lot of houseboats moored along the side. But most of the boats that the old canal people live on are very well kept and very beautiful.
And would you come again for a canal holiday?
Yes, yes. Coming as far as we have, it's a matter of saving up.
Yes.
But it's certainly been everything we hoped it would be.
Right, and for people who live near, it's certainly a very good idea for a family holiday, I should think. Certainly
Yes.
if you've got some older children like you have as well, who can help.
I think for just two of us it would have been a lot of work, but with the larger two to help with the locking load, it's been great.
Well, thank you all for letting us share your holiday. And I'm going to say goodbye now, but I'm going to go on enjoying my trip on the canal with the Showell family. Bye-bye. I'm with Mike and Lindy Foster, who own Bridgewater Boats, and very importantly also with Mishka, who's having her bottle. And how old is Mishka?
Mishka's just 7 weeks today.
Oh, she looks very tiny to me, and to Barnaby, who's very interested in her, I think.
Barnaby wants to stroke her, don't you, Barnaby?
Yes, I don't think might be a little rough. So can you just tell me a little bit about Bridgewater Boats, when it started, how it started, and what it is?
Well, we started in 1971, having lived on a narrowboat for 10 years when we were first married.
So you know what it's really like?
Yes, and I suppose really only started because we loved, let me pop the bottle in, because we loved the canal so much, we wanted to enjoy it with other people and share it.
Yes. How many boats do you have, Mike?
We've got 11 at the moment.
That's
and we started,
quite a lot.
Yes, we started with one and built the first one and then progressed to another one and added to the fleet slowly.
So they're actually new, because they're very traditionally built, aren't they?
They're built to a traditional style, but they're purpose-built boats.
Right, so you can make them reasonably comfortable.
Well, you've got to. I mean, you've got to, because the traditional boats may look pretty, but ours actually have to perform a certain function.
Right, well, can you explain what the function is? Because I don't think everyone will know what Bridgewater Boats is.
Well, for people to have happy family holidays, really, to be suitable for all age groups. Most of our holiday makers, whoops, we've got a little choke here. Most of our holiday makers, let's say, will come with a grandfather, grandmother, mother, mum and dad, and maybe children. So you have a 3-generation holiday, or maybe 2 couples with 2 children each.
So how many can fit on your boats?
We vary from 48 births.
Right.
And the idea is that they combine the prettiness of a traditional canal boat with practicability. I'm actually an interior designer, so I hope I'm able to make that combination easily.
Everything, yes. Mike, what do you think is the sort of magic of canals? You must enjoy it if you've lived on them and you now work with them.
I think the nice thing about canals is there's something to do all the time. The children enjoy it, the adults enjoy it, and also the speed at which you travel. makes you wind down.
Yes, you can't hurry.
You can't hurry. The water moves at its own speed, the lock moves at its own speed. If you try and take over from nature, then you'll finish up absolutely exhausted. And the canal has a means of just winding you down completely.
Right. And you're based in Berkhamsted?
Yes, Berkhamsted, which is at the foot of the Chilterns, medieval town. It's a nice place to start. And most people go north. We're actually travelling south. But most people go north and go through the bird sanctuary at Tring, the aqueduct at Cosgrove, Waterways Museum at Stoke Bruin, and of course the tunnel at Lisworth. So it's a lovely trip, or alternatively down to London.
Right. Now, if someone wanted to come on one of your boats, what do they do?
Well, anyone who'd like to get in touch just rings. We'll send a brochure. Mike, Ruben or I will answer the phone on 04427 3615. We'd be delighted to hear from you. We're a small family business. We're always there to answer the phone.
Right, I gather you actually sort of live on the spot. So
We
you're
do.
there 24 hours.
We're there 24 hours a day. We're right on the water.
Well, we're totally committed because we love it so much.
Well, it seems a lovely way of life. Thanks very much for talking to me.
Okay, thank you.